Hello. So I've been thinking of making a command block tutorial series for a while, and I think it's finally time that I'll do it. So in this series I want to cover things like what command blocks are, what commands are, how to use command blocks, just like the things that you can do with them. And then in later videos I'll go into more in-depth things like target selector arguments or how specific commands work. So in this video I'm going to be talking about how to get a command block, how commands work, how the different types of command blocks work, what conditional versus unconditional means. And I want to make it easy enough to understand that if this is your first time using command blocks, you should be able to follow it. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Before I talk about what command blocks are, I want to first discuss what regular commands are. So many times when a game developer is making a game, they'll add commands or like a debug menu so they can test out features without having to like find that thing in the world. So an example I like to use is, say you're a Mojang developer and you just added a feature and you want to test if it breaks another thing. So for example, say you added something and now you want to make sure that zombies will still burn in the day. Instead of going into a world, waiting for it to become night, waiting for a zombie to spawn, waiting for it to become day, and then seeing if the zombie will burn, all you have to do is use this command, and now there's a zombie. And it just makes testing features a lot easier for game developers because you have all of these commands that you can just instantly do things instead of having to go out of your way to find that thing or trigger an event or something. This is where command blocks come in. How the command blocks work, you can input a command into them and then have them activate instantly. So say with regular commands, if I wanted 5 zombies to spawn, I would have to do /summon zombie 5 different times. And I could only do it as fast as I could type that, or I guess you could, just as fast as I can input that command is how fast that you would be able to do it. But with command blocks, you can instantly activate several commands, or like a really long command, just with a push of a button, or like when it gets powered by redstone. So the way to get command blocks, you'll notice they're not in the creative inventory. So the way to get them is using a command, which is the /give command. So you do /give, and then you can do your username, or you can do these called target selectors. And you will do @, and you have a list of the things. So @s is myself, and then command _ block. You could also press tab to autofill that. Yeah. And now, once you place it down, you can right-click it. And you'll see you have all of these options to choose from. I want to cover these from what I see as the simplest to most complex. But starting off with this, because it's the most important, the command input. This is just where you input your command. So I'm going to do say hi. And now when you power it, what the heck? Just happened to the button. Now when you power it, you'll notice it says hi. Now I'm going to go over all the menus on the left. So hover note is probably the most I guess it's the simplest. Just write hi. And now you see when you hover over the command block, it will say hi. This is really just used, so say you have like a long string of many command blocks and you don't want to have to open each one to see what the command is. You could just leave a note, like as I had hi there. I can now look at this and be like, okay, this is the one that says hi, instead of having to open the command and reading. I mean, something like this, I can easily just see that says say hi, but say you have like a long command in here and you don't have to open it and then go through the entire thing to see what the commands are. So another thing with this, I'll give it like an actual name, and this just works with the say command. This is now what the command block's name will be. Now it says that John said hi instead of whatever it does that. So this is just useful for if you want to check what a command does. Next up, I'll go over your delay and ticks. What this does is it will delay how long the command takes to activate. And this, so 1 tick, if you don't know, that is 1/20th of a second. So if you set your tick delay to be 20, now you push the button and then it waits a second before it says hi. 40 and then it waits 2 seconds. And something also to know about this, if you see in the settings menu of your world, if you scroll down, you have this random tick speed. This is still like how fast a tick will be, but this isn't in relation to this. So like you could have this tick, your random tick speed set to 0, and your tick delay will still work just the same. Or if you have it as 1,000, this tick speed is just for things like how if grass will grow, if saplings will grow, stuff like that. Okay, now I set this up to demonstrate block type, and hopefully this will make it easy to understand. But just before I talk about that, I want to show this. So something that's good to do when working with command blocks is turn game rule command block output to false. Because if I set it to true, you notice I'm having all of these, like my chat is getting full. That's just from these command blocks over here. And basically the reason it's doing that is every time a command block will activate, it will send out this message, the previous output, it will send that to the chat. And so the way to stop that and just like make your screen look a lot better is game rule command block output, set that to false, and you'll notice it will stop. That's just important if you want your screen to look good. So now I'll talk about the types. Now this is impulse, which is the default type, and I believe before 1.8, this was the only command block type. And the way that this works, I set this up so you can see, if it's powered, then it will activate. You can think of these lights as being a checklist, that they all have to be true in order for the command block to activate. So, is it powered? Then this will basically turn on. Yes, it's powered, so then it will activate. If you break this, it'll then turn off. So, it will just activate once it gets powered. Which also means, so right now you see it's powered, so that this would be on. It can't activate again until this becomes full, I guess until the light turns off and back on. So it's powered right now. If I power it again, nothing's gonna happen because you can't change this to be true once it's already true. So if you have like a checklist and you've already done something, you can't then do it again because it's already been done. So it can only get powered on that first time that it's getting powered until it gets unpowered. Now, with a chain command block, which is our next type, the way this works, pretty self-explanatory with the name, you can make a chain of them and they'll all activate like at once. But this basically has two checkboxes. One is it powered? So if you put this here, the command block is now powered, so that's true. But it's not going to do anything until the second one activates, which has the block before it activated. And so if we activate the block before it, then this would become true. Then this one will also activate. So just to show, when you activate this command block, this one also activates. And you could have a long line. Well, I don't think I copied that. You don't know, you can do control, crouch, and then pick block. You can copy it with the data. And also, with the chain, it goes in the direction of this arrow. And so you can have like as many as you want. You just have to make sure that they're all powered. And then whenever this one gets powered, it will activate all of these. Turn these off. And the last one we have is repeat. And the way this works, it will be that same checkbox as the first one. So when it gets powered, it will turn on. But you notice it activates once every tick. So it activates 20 times a second. So say you are like, you're testing for something to happen. Here's a good example. With the test4 command, which also I'll be using that a bit. But you don't have to understand what any of this means, but you just have to know that this is testing for a villager. Let me copy this and put it over here. And then make it an impulse. Just actually here. Oops. I'll actually just do it right next to it, so I don't have to run back and forth. So yeah. If if I spawn in a villager, and I'm using an impulse for this, you'll notice I have to power it first. No targets match the selector, so it hasn't found a villager. Now if I spawn in a villager, it still hasn't found it because it's not going to update until I power it again, and now it will have found the villager. And now if you kill the villager, so there are no more villagers, it still thinks it found one, or I guess it still did find one. It's just that it hasn't been updated again to notice, okay, it's gone. But if we were using a repeat, you'll notice no targets match selector, but as soon as we spawn in that villager, it will have updated and notice, okay, there's a villager, and then if you kill it, it will update, because it's updating every 20th of a second, it will now notice there's no villager. And so that's a good use for them. Also, I guess, as I showed, you could just flood someone's chat with the say command. But yeah, they're just really useful for having a lot of things, I guess. I don't really know. I'm not good at describing things. Now, the last thing I'm going to show, I'm going to keep this area, is conditional. So basically what conditional will do is it will add another thing to this checkbox. So instead of just being the is it powered, it's now has it been powered and has the one before it not only activated, like how a chain would work, but has the one before it activated as true. So once again using that test4 command. So test4 at E. I probably shouldn't have removed that from my inventory. Alright. Now, actually, I'm gonna use, or no, I'll use an impulse just to show why you shouldn't really use an impulse. Spelled something wrong. What? Oh, never mind. It just hasn't been powered. You know, it's working. I saw that error and thought it was something I did, but no. So, and then we'll have this say hi. So you notice with this found villager, that's basically saying true. So like the test for a villager, if it doesn't find one, it will be false. If it did find one, it will be true. Now this is gonna say, okay, the one before it is true, so I'll activate. But once again, with the impulse, that's only one of the two checkboxes. It also has to be powered, which is just why using an impulse command block that's conditional isn't really a good idea, because not only do you have to have this one be true, you also then have to power it on your own, which is why it would be much better to have a chain, which you can then keep powered, and now it will activate once this happens, and then once you kill the villager, this will update, say it's false, and so this will stop. So if that's confusing, all you really have to know is you only need to use a chain conditional. So technically you can use a impulse conditional or a repeat conditional, but in like uses, I've only ever used a chain conditional, just because you know you could just always have it powered, and then when the one before it is true, then it will just activate instead of having to then power it on your own if it was a chain. And speaking of power, we'll go to this. This is the redstone section. You could have it need redstone, which means I have to power it like this, or always active, which means it will basically just treat it as if there is a redstone block or a lever down or something on this command block. And another reason as to why I've been talking so much about the impulse needing needing that power source is if I set it to always active, you'll notice it just activates as soon as I leave it. It will activate as soon as I leave it, and then I can't repower it. So don't use always active with an impulse, it will just break it. But stuff like this you can use. I personally like to just have a lever so I can toggle them on and off instead of having to enter this menu, but it's up to you. With chains, I always active. Alright, I was editing the video and noticed that I forgot to talk about something, which it only works on repeat command blocks. It gets grayed out if you're on the other two types, which is execute on first tick. And what this does, it works directly. It works directly with the delay in ticks. So let's set this to a 40 tick delay, which means 2 seconds in between each command. And you'll notice with the execute on first tick selected, whenever I place down this redstone block, it's gonna say hi, and then it will wait 2 seconds in between each other time that says hi. But if I have this off, you notice it's gonna wait 2 seconds before it says hi, and then have the 2 seconds in between. So that's just depending. Do you want it to activate the second you power it, or do you want it to have to wait until it gets powered? So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm planning on having more videos like this in the future, covering more complicated things. And thank you for watching. I'll see you later.